The Van't Krujis Opening is one of the rarest but most powerful surprise weapons in chess. It looks harmless, but quickly turns into a dynamic and attacking setup that most players are completely unprepared for. Even better, it lets you avoid theory and outplay your opponents early. In this video, we'll explore multiple dangerous lines, starting with the most solid one, and later, we'll show a more aggressive setup for players who want to avoid French-style positions entirely. Let's get into the first variation. We begin with a quiet pawn move to the king's bishop square, already something your opponent likely isn't used to seeing. Black plays their central pawn forward, and we immediately challenge it with our own. When they capture, we recapture calmly, and just like that, we're in a French exchange-style structure, but with way more flexibility for white. Now we strike with our queenside pawn, pressuring black's center. They develop their knight, and we bring our own out as well, keeping control of the center and preparing to develop quickly. Black pins our knight with their bishop, and we respond by developing our own bishop to a central square, supporting the center and preparing to castle. They castle kingside, and we develop our kingside knight. Not toward f3, but to the second rank, a flexible square that keeps our pawn structure intact and prepares for a smooth kingside setup. Black now captures in the center, and we immediately recapture with our light-squared bishop, keeping pressure on the board. They develop their queenside knight, and now we safely castle, bringing our king to safety with a solid position. Black develops their dark-squared bishop and pins our knight, but we respond by pinning their knight right back, with our own bishop aiming down the diagonal. They challenge us with a pawn move, hitting our bishop. We calmly slide it back one square, maintaining the pin and the tension. Then black brings a rook into the center. Now we strike. The queen slides over to the queen side, adding pressure to the bishop and lining up on the b-file. Black tucks their king further into the corner for safety. But now we launch a critical pawn thrust in the center. With this central pawn push, the whole board is about to open up in our favor. Every piece is harmonized and ready to explode. This is the hidden strength of the Van't Krujis, passive-looking at first, but loaded with punch once we get developed. But this line? It's rock-solid and practical, and most opponents won't know how to handle the pressure once you start pushing. In this variation, instead of exchanging in the center, black immediately pushes their pawn forward, trying to seize space. We don't react passively. Instead, we strike back on the queen side with a pawn, challenging their center. Black pushes their kingside pawn aggressively, signaling they want to fight, so we calmly develop our knight, increasing central pressure. They bring out their knight too, preparing to support the center. We respond by quietly developing our bishop, a flexible move that lets us castle soon and stay solid. Then black builds a pawn chain with a queen's pawn move. At first, it might look intimidating, but we have a clever idea here. We bring our other knight to the edge of the board. Not a usual square, but in this setup it prepares a key reroute while avoiding immediate trades. Black builds up more central control with another pawn, but we now strike again, pushing the queenside pawn and looking to destabilize their structure. When the center opens slightly, we bring our knight to a perfect square, putting pressure right on their core. And now we've caught up in development, while black has made several weakening pawn moves. Their position looks active, but it's loose and overextended, and our pieces are ready to strike. This is why the Van't Krujis is so dangerous. Even when black plays aggressively early, we stay solid and quietly turn their own moves against them. If you're not a fan of exchange-style French positions, this is the line for you. Much more dynamic and flexible. We start by pushing the king's pawn just one square, keeping our plans hidden. Black mirrors us with the same move. Then, instead of striking the center, we immediately fianchetto with a queenside pawn, preparing to develop our bishop to a powerful diagonal. Black pushes in the center with confidence, and we respond by bringing out our bishop, lining it up against the middle of the board. Now we develop our second bishop early to pin pressure on the knight and support an early fight over the dark squares. Instead of playing the usual knight move, You can also consider an early kingside pawn thrust to go for a sharp attacking setup. But here, we keep things flexible with normal development. Black brings out their bishop aggressively, pinning our knight, hoping to maintain tension. We immediately question it with a simple kingside pawn push. And here, Black is at a crossroads. If they don't take the knight, they'll lose central control. But if they do take, and they usually will, they're forced to give up the bishop pair early in the game. We recapture with the queen, developing with tempo, and now we have open diagonals, the bishop pair, and an easier path to long-term control of the game. This is a clean, aggressive way to dodge the French-style setup and go for a fluid, piece-driven middle game. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this variation, be sure to check out the others and subscribe for rare winning lines like this one. See you in the next one.